One of the greatest barriers to accomplishing your goal is being able to deal with overwhelm. Now, most people in our society tend not to admit that they hit overwhelm, but I can assure you, at least from my experience, that every single entrepreneur that I have dealt with, and myself included, hit overwhelm or have overwhelm on a consistent basis. And I don't mean consistent like, once a month or every 6 months. I mean daily, in fact, hourly even. I mean, that's the nature of building a startup. That's the nature of being an entrepreneur. You're doing things that are really difficult or innovative or creative or any number of things, but it's really tough. And you've got all the additional pressures around you of making payroll or dealing with family or not knowing that there's a consistent check coming in or financing happening or products blowing. You're responsible for so many things. The very nature of entrepreneurialism is overwhelm. So there's all kinds of things that we could talk about, all kinds of strategies around how do you deal with overwhelm and what's the best way to handle every particular situation. But really about 80% of overwhelm can be dealt with two particular things that we've uncovered over the last 25 to 35 years, actually, the more I think about it, of being an entrepreneur, working with entrepreneurs and what we do here at Build. Here's the two very basic things that you really need to do. The first and foremost thing you need to do is focus only on the moment. Now, I know that seems really obvious, but when you go through goal setting processes or systems, typically what they do is they're having you think about the big picture and the big vision and everything that has to be done in order to make that happen. But quite frankly, in order to accomplish that, you can really only do one thing at a time. If you're working with the build process of goal setting, take that 5-year goal that we set it aside, don't think about it. Take the 1-year goal that you've set it aside, don't think about it. Take the 90-day goals, or RIPs as we call them, responsibilities and perspective, set them aside, don't think about them. Now, take a look at your 30-day goals. And when you look at those 30-day goals, for today, do 3 things. Write down the 3 things that are most important to do today in order to accomplish that 30-day goal. And I mean the really important 3 things to get done. Now, what inevitably will happen is you'll write down those 3 things and then you'll go, but oh my gosh, I got these other 7 things as well to do. In order to hit that goal that you've set for yourself in 30 days, the most important thing today might be picking up your kids on time from school. And that's fine, because if that falls apart, then a whole bunch of other things fall apart. You know intuitively what the most important 3 things that you have to get done. Or it might be, prepping for a finance meeting, or it might be getting a production schedule out to somebody, or it might be having a tough meeting with your CFO or some challenging employees or executive. Whatever the case is, there's 3 things that have to happen today. Just do those 3 things. Now listen, you are gonna get 50 things done in a day. You're an entrepreneur, that's what you do. But if you get 47 of the wrong things done and the 3 most important don't get done, you may as well not have got out of bed this morning, right? Now, you need to change the mindset that is not about necessarily the quantity of things to get done, but the importance or the quality of the things that you get done. And just getting those 3 most important things done, and sometimes they're things that only you can do, get those done. At the end of the day, you will feel better. At the end of the day, you'll be able to have some peace of mind that things are progressing. Now, you may still feel a bit of anxiety around the fact that you've got these 50 other things to put check marks beside, but you don't have, or you will have less of, the overwhelming, ominous feeling of like, oh my gosh, this thing that has multiple parts that have to happen every single day in order to get done isn't getting done, I'm a failure. The self-talk starts. So just do those 3 things. That's it. And if at any moment during the day, you're like just rushed and you got 7 emails and you got phone calls coming in and you got to go get something from the store, or you've got to get something ordered online, or you're late for a meeting, just take 30 seconds and just go, what are the 3 most, or I don't know what to do next. Just look at that list and don't do what you think you need to do next, and just do what's on that list. I promise you this will be life-changing. It's so simple, but it is a discipline that is very hard to do, and you probably won't get good at it until you start to see some results of it. Once you start to see some of those results of it, you start trusting the process, or have faith, as I like to call it. Quantitative faith starts to kick in, and you start doing it over and over again. And you just make sure you get those 3 most important things done. And sometimes that means you disappoint people. Sometimes that means you don't get other things done. Sometimes it means you don't meet some of the commitments that you made. But they make sure that you are able to then complete the most important commitments that you've made. And the ones that you didn't make, you got to go back and make an amends and say sorry and figure out and how to adjust and deal with those situations. But get those 3 most important things done. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing that you do is you get a build partner, right? You get somebody to work with that you can just call. It's somebody that doesn't necessarily is going to need anything from you or you need from them, but it is somebody that you can identify with and is typically an entrepreneur. Now, and it might be an entrepreneur if you're a busy mom with kids, it might be another entrepreneur that you can call and they can really identify with some of those pressures. It may be somebody that's in the same industry. It may be somebody that has the same background. It might be a religious background. It might be a fraternity background. Who knows what it is. But having somebody else that you can identify with that is also an entrepreneur, so when you can basically, check in and do, hey, what's going on today, or this is what's happening with me, or just send them a text. Couple things happen. First of all, you release the issue, right? And when you release that issue, it's your brain is immediately able to think creatively, right? And it's a step, right? Every journey starts with a step. And sometimes that step is just realizing I'm frustrated and you've shared it with somebody. And that kind of gets things going. What else happens is that other person shares things back with you. And you realize quickly that you're not the only person that's faced with these same challenges. You realize quickly that you are not terminally unique. You realize quickly that you're not a loser and that you're not all those self-doubt and self-talk things that you put yourself through. What you are is you're an entrepreneur and you're willing to share your experience with somebody else, help them along the path, and also garner from their experience and strength and hope as to what you can do because they are doing it as well.